In an age where virtual realities and augmented universes began to blur with our own tangible world, there lived a man named Ali. He spent his days in the bustling city of Neurotopia, among skyscrapers that shimmered like mirages against the cerulean skyline, a place where neon lights flickered not just on screens, but within minds themselves. The citizens were ensnared by a grand illusion. They believed their reality was as solid and concrete as it could ever be. Yet Ali harbored an unsettling suspicion that everything might simply be the brain's rendering of existence, a simulation so vividly realistic that to question its authenticity felt like doubting one's own heartbeat. Ali had always been fascinated by this notion since childhood, when he first encountered a virtual world while playing an augmented reality game on his mother's ancient computer, a device so outdated it seemed as if the very concept of time and space was trapped within its circuits. The lines between what felt real and artificial had blurred in that room filled with flickering holographic trees, where shadows danced atop walls not made of brick, but pixels, a place he visited after school hours when his mother worked late as a neuroscientist decoding the mysteries within our skulls. As Ali grew older and delved into philosophy classes that debated consciousness like scholars in ancient libraries, he learned about Plato's allegory of the cave, a tale where prisoners mistook shadows for reality until one escaped to see the sunlight beyond their confinement. He pondered if his own world was akin to those chained souls. Were they all just echoes within an elaborate cerebral construct? One day, Ali stumbled upon Dr. Ari, a neuroscientist with eyes that seemed too bright for humanity, and mind as vast as the cosmos itself. She spoke of a place where thoughts could be sculpted like clay in her labyrinthine brain mapping facility known simply as the Nexus, an institution shrouded by secrecy yet renowned across Neurotopia's scientific community for its groundbreaking research into the nature of reality. Ali's journey began with a simple question that led to his life being rewritten. What if our perceived world is but one layer in an intricate tapestry woven by neural impulses? His quest was not merely academic curiosity, it became personal as he sought the truth behind this potential revelation. Dr. Voss, with her silver hair cascading like a waterfall of wisdom and eyes reflecting galaxies unseen, greeted Ali at the Nexus, a place where reality seemed to fold upon itself in impossible geometries that defied physics as they were known outside its walls. Here he learned about the brain's prowess not just for thought, but creation, how every sensation and emotion was a note played on an instrument of biological complexity, resonating through synapses like strings plucked by unseen hands, a symphony that painted our world in vibrant colors. Ali witnessed the reality within the Nexus as it morphed before his eyes. He saw a cityscape where buildings stretched into infinity, and people moved with purposeful intent yet were mere avatars of thought patterns, a society that lived on screens in their mind's eye. It was here Ali encountered the concept known to some ancient philosophers, but dismissed by modernity: solipsism. If his mind alone existed within this grand illusion, then perhaps reality itself wasn't a fixed point outside him as he had always believed it to be, a notion that both terrified and liberated him. As Ali's understanding deepened through the guidance of Dr. Voss, who seemed more like an oracle than mentor, his days became filled with paradoxical experiences where memories could alter their form or disappear entirely at will. Conversations flowed in languages that were once foreign to his tongue, but now felt as native as breathing, a linguistic mosaic of humanity's collective consciousness. The turning point came when Ali, through a series of experiments involving neural stimulation and the manipulation of sensory inputs, found himself at the Nexus core chamber where reality was said to be encoded in strings of quantum data, a place that hummed with an energy so potent it felt like touching eternity. Here he discovered his own consciousness intertwined within a vast neural network. The self wasn't just housed by skull and sinew, but shared across countless minds, each contributing to this grand illusion, a revelation that shook him into an abyss of existential wonderment. Dr. Voss whispered words like incantations as she explained how their brains were the ultimate creators. Every thought a brushstroke on reality's canvas, and consciousness itself was but one thread in this intricate web, a tapestry where individuality faded into collective experience, yet personal identity remained. Ali's story unfolded as he grappled with the implications of his findings. Could it be that we are all actors on a stage set by our own minds? If reality was indeed just an elaborate simulation within neural pathways and synaptic firings, a concept once reserved for science fiction tales whispered in dimly lit libraries, now echoing through Ali's every thought. As he emerged from the Nexus with a mind ablaze with questions that could ignite the very fabric of existence itself, his journey was no longer about seeking an external truth, but understanding one's own place within this grand design or realization, where reality wasn't just something to be discovered or questioned. It had always been there in every thought and dream, a symphony composed by consciousness that danced on the edge of perception, forever elusive yet eternally present at the Nexus heartbeat within his own mind. And so Ali continued walking through Neurotopia, a world where skyscrapers reached for stars and minds melded in silent conversation about existence itself, a place that might not be real, but was undeniably alive with the electricity of thought and wonderment at what it meant to simply exist.